Hi, good morning. So, good morning, EL 100 students. First thing is, I'm sorry I cannot go online to our Google Classroom. My phone is not working there. So, well, I am thankful because I have StreamYard. So, let's have our lesson here. Okay. So, anyway, let's go to our, what's this? Our lesson introduction to linguistics. So I think it's right. Are we on our week 2? So let's have here the introduction to linguistics, week 2. Yes, week 2. So the first question is language, linguistics, language, linguistics. That's the question that we're going to ask ourselves. What is language and what is linguistic? Okay, linguistics. All right. So, well, language, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, a system of conventional spoken or written symbols by means of which human beings, as members of a social group and participants in its culture, communicate. Okay, so that is the definition taken from Encyclopedia Britannica. It is a system of conventional spoken or written symbols by means of which human beings, so we human beings as members of the social group and participants in its culture communicate. So that is language according to Encyclopedia Britannica. Then, according to Henry Sweet, an English phonetician and language scholar, it is or language is an expression of ideas by means of speech sounds combined into two words. Words are combined into sentences, and this combination answering to that of ideas into thoughts. Okay, so that is something more specific now compared to the first definition. So, expression of ideas. If you think something, if you have an idea, you are going to express it. How are you going to express it? You have to release a sound. What is that sound? Speech sound. Okay? Speech sounds combined into words. So, when we say speech sounds, we have different sounds of the letters. For example, speech s, p, s, all right, something like that. So you combine the sounds into words. And now these words are combined into sentences. So this combination answering to that of ideas into thoughts. Okay? So your ideas now, you bring that out, you are going to speak, you are going to say it, and then it will become words. And then this combination of words will become sentence, and you may be able to bring out your thoughts. Okay, so you may be able to give your ideas, you may be able to give your thoughts. So that is according to Henry Sweet, an English phonetician and language scholar. Okay, so another definition, a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which a social group cooperates. So the US linguist Bernard, a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which a social group cooperates. Okay. And then we have here the design features of language, duality of patterning. So we are going to discuss what do we mean by that. We have displacement, we have open-endedness, and then stimulus freedom, and then arbitrariness, and the human vocal tract. So these are the things that we are going to discuss, okay, on our next video. So language as a means of communication. Of course, we communicate, we have so many ways on how are we going to communicate. We communicate using our eyes. We communicate using our facial expressions. We communicate using sign language. We communicate using our body language. But this time, language as a means of communication. All right. So look at the illustration here. We have here the language, it is the message, or it is the information. So we have here the speaker. So the speaker now encodes. Okay. So when we say encode, you are going to plan, you are going to analyze. I mean, you're going to plan, you are going to organize your thoughts, your ideas on how are you going to deliver your message. So once you encode the message, you are going to bring that out. So a while ago we discussed about you express it using the sounds, okay, the vocal sounds. Then if it will become vocal sounds, you have the words, and then combination of words, it will become sentence, okay, or sentences, and then now it becomes a message. So speaker encodes first, because first it's in the mind, it's not words yet, so it's there. And then you're going to encode. So when we say encode, you're going to plan, you're going to organize on how are you going to bring out the message. So of course, so you plan now on how are you going to say it. So depending on your audience, depending on your listeners, so once you release it, you have there the language, the message, or the information, and then you deliver it to the listener. So the listener receives the message, and now the listener decodes the message, decodes the symbols, decodes the words, decodes the sentences. So when we say decode, the listener now interprets, analyze the message or the words, the sentences. Okay, so that is the language as means of communication. So this is the model, the very simple model of communication. So difference between languages. So what are the differences between languages? First, languages can differ in the fundamental elements or the rules of combination. So there are different rules of combination of language or combination of words or sentences. So dyan sila magkakaiba. Okay? Then the units and rules can be different for all of the modules of language. So we have the sounds, words, and sentences. Then, but all languages are equally complex. Complex, not easy, not simple. Okay? Complex, complicated. They all have units and rules. So, for example, if we're going to use the English language, it has rules. Filipino language, it has rules to follow. Chinese language, Japanese language. So each set, okay, has rules to follow. All right. Dialects differ in the same way, units and rules. Okay? Languages change in the same way, units and rules. Children learn languages in the same way, units and rules there. Then any child can learn any human language if exposed to it. So if you have Filipino child, but your child is exposed to Chinese language, of course, your child can learn that language. So the child can learn any human language as long as he or she is exposed to it. So here, linguistics. So that was a little information or introduction about language. So this time, let's go to linguistics. Okay? Short definition or like information or introduction about linguistics. So the scientific study of language that answers the question, what is language? How is it represented in the mind? So, of course, if you're going to see it, if going to analyze it, language, linguistics are really closely interrelated. Not really closely interrelated, but they are, okay, just the same. So, the scientific study of language that answers the questions, what is language? How is it represented in mind? All right. So, linguistics, a social science that shares common ground with other social sciences, such as psychology, anthropology, sociology, and archaeology. So may also influence other disciplines such as English, communication, studies, computer science, etc. So on our next video, part 2, Introduction to Linguistics, lesson 2, we're going to discuss about anthropology, sociology, and archaeology in linguistics. Okay? So the history of linguistics comes from the Latin word lingua, which means language. Okay? Linguistics means language. So Ferdinand de Saussure, okay, Saussure, the father of modern linguistics, in his book Cours de Linguistique Generale, proposed the terms language, langue, and parole. So language in general, langue, a particular language, and parole, the language of an individual. Okay. Then, linguistic knowledge versus performance. So, linguistic knowledge, iba yung linguistic knowledge versus your performance. For example, you have the knowledge of the Ilonggo words, you have the knowledge of this, like Korean language, okay? But how about your performance of that language? So what's the difference between linguistic knowledge of Korean language versus your performance of Korean language? Okay. Knowledge is, of course, different from performance. So let us see the difference between. So linguistics studies what people know when they know a language. Linguistics, again, studies what people know when they know a language. For example, what do you know when you know the language? I'm going to ask you, for example, if you are fan of K-drama, so you will get the intonation, you will get the ending of the words, right? So that is what you know. So linguistic studies what people know when they know a language. So what do you know about Korean language? So that's the question. Most of the time, we'll learn what people know by what they do. So if I am a linguist, I will know what you know about the language if you do it, if you perform it. Okay? Again, if I am the linguist, I will know what you know about the language based on your performance on that language. Okay? So remember that, guys. Actually, we'll have our exercise on Saturday. Just wait for my post. I hope you have reached this far. Okay? This is just your basic requirement to listen and to continue the video because, of course, this is considered our lesson. So, third, but sometimes what people actually do does not reliably indicate what they know. Sometimes we know a lot, but we perform less. Okay? We know a lot about the language, but we perform less. All right. Someone may, with laryngitis, all right, like me, someone with laryngitis still knows their language. I have laryngitis, guys. They just have a medical, physical problem performing, doing the speech. So if you observe now, I just feel like I what's this? Having this effort to speak. Okay, but someone with laryngitis, like Mom Effie, Teacher Effie, still knows their language. I still know my language, even I have my laryngitis. They just have a medical or physical problem performing the speech. So, of course, my performance in speech, of course, I can still talk, but I have to exert too much effort for me to be heard. Okay, that is one of the examples here, the linguistic knowledge versus performance. So I may have linguistic knowledge about English, but my performance now is different. Why? Because I cannot bring out all my voice, the sound. Okay, I can speak the English language, but the doing of the speech is not that good. Okay, because namamaos. Okay, hoarse voice. Next, Many external factors can affect performance. Okay, remember that. Many external factors can affect performance. So linguistics abstracts away from such complicating factors to study the true system of knowledge. But we must use what people do to discover and test our theories about what people know about language. Again, but we must use what people do to discover and test our theories about what people know about language. Okay, so of course we must know that certain people, what he does, of certain person, what he does about the language for us to discover his knowledge about the language. So much linguistic knowledge is implicit. So that is, people are not conscious of what they know. All right. So linguist, what's linguist? So who is linguist? Linguist is someone who engages in studying linguistics. So if you would like to study a person about the language, about linguistics, so you are linguists. At some point we are, because we are now studying, okay? We are this small linguist. So this is really part of our being a student of this course. So EL 100, so we study Introduction to Linguistics. So we study a little about linguistics. So we are now linguists. Okay? So linguist focuses on describing and explaining language, not concerned with the prescriptive rules of the language. Take note of that. Is not an interpreter, not required to know many languages. So if you are a linguist, you are not an interpreter. You are not required to know many languages. Okay? Goal of a linguist is to discover the universals concerning language. So in general, to discover the universals concerning language. All right. So the field of linguistics, we have synchronic versus diachronic linguistics. What do we mean by this? Wait for my lesson 2. I'm just presenting this to you. Theoretical versus applied linguistics. And then we have microlinguistics versus macrolinguistics. Okay? All right. So, well, the disciplines within linguistics, we have phonetics, phonology. Again, I'm going, this courses or this topic, well, these topics will be discussed on my next video. So wait for it, guys. All right. Morphology, syntax, semantics, language acquisition. So, isa-isahin natin ito. What do we mean by phonetics? What do we mean by phonology? Morphology, syntax, semantics, language acquisition. So, these are the disciplines within linguistics. And then we have other things to discuss. Okay? Well, anyway, so next video, guys, I will continue what I had earlier. Okay, let me go back a little. So these things, we're going to discuss this one, and then the fields of linguistics, and then we will proceed to the different disciplines within linguistics. Okay, guys? So please let me know. Let me know if you have reached this far. Doon na lang kayo mag-comment sa YouTube channel on this video, and then you will find the PPT file or the PowerPoint file of this lesson in the description in this video in YouTube channel and in our Google Classroom, guys. Okay? All right. So thank you so much for staying with me. Wait for my announcement. Please keep posted sa FB group natin. And then I will see you again soon. So thank you so much. And I will try to have my video or my second video tonight. But I cannot just make a promise. But I will try my best to have the continuation of this lesson tonight. Okay? Kahit anong oras pa. Again and again, please, abangan niyo po yung post ko Okay, sa group natin. And thank you so much. Comment your what's this? Say something about this lesson if you have finished this one. Say something. What have you understood in my lesson? So, guys, thank you. This is a college lesson, and don't forget to again keep posted. Okay, so thank you so much. This is my official lesson about introduction to linguistics. Bye bye.